Go on, Truus. Show him.
My sister Truus trains beside me. She's steadier with the handgun. I'm better at moving unnoticed. We don't talk much about the future. We talk about angles, timing, escape routes. They hand me a pistol, and there's no dramatic speech, no ceremony. Just repetition. Again, again, again. Disassemble, reassemble, check the chamber. Don't look at your hands, feel it. If you have to look, you're too slow. The first time I fired, my wrist snapped back and the instructor frowned. Not angry, just analytical. You must control it, he said. Control your breathing, control your expression. Control your story if you stopped. Sabotage is even stranger. You learn to think like an engineer. Where is the rail weakest? How long before a patrol circles back? Wait, before I get too ahead of myself, I should start from the beginning.
The German army invaded Holland and Belgium early this morning by land and by landing from parachutes. The armies of the Low Countries are resisting.
They crossed into my life, into the years that were supposed to be mine. 14 is supposed to be awkward, not dangerous. They said war was something that happened far away, a sound on the radio, a line on a map. But the sky says otherwise. Too many engines, too low, too deliberate. It presses down on the rooftops, crawls into my chest, rattles the windows as if the house itself knows what is coming. So this is how it begins. They're landing behind us. They drop into fields, roads, parks, anywhere. Everything inside me tightens. Paratroopers. I didn't know the word yesterday. I know it now. I hear shouting, German and gunfire farther off, closer to Rotterdam, closer to the bridges everyone pretends aren't important. I understood something then. Borders didn't matter anymore. They moved like they've been here before in their heads. If they can come from the sky, then nowhere is safe. And if nowhere is safe, then hiding won't save us. I tell myself to remember everything. The way they move, the way their confidence looks when they think they're invincible. One day, that confidence will walk into a forest with me and not walk out again. They don't wait for the talks to finish, because waiting gives the other side time to breathe. The bombs are the deadline. Everything about this says, decide now. They want the bridges intact and the army unbroken, so they burn the city instead. It's efficient. Take the port, keep the crossings, break the government's will in one afternoon. No long siege, no street fighting, just shock so complete it shortens the war they want to fight next. Terror is a force multiplier. Fire moves faster than people. It doesn't hesitate. It eats roofs, walls, memories, all the things that made this place a home, and not just coordinates on a map. This isn't fighting. This is erasing. I watch the smoke and decide then the fight will begin elsewhere, quieter, harder to calculate, where their strategy doesn't fit on a map. If this is what their order looks like, then I will live in disorder. If they want us small, I will learn how to be dangerous in ways they don't see. They see a girl first. That's the mistake. 14 years old, a child. I hate that it works. I tried not looking at her face. Faces make things complicated. My hands are steady. I thought they would shake, that my body would argue with me. I don't hate her. That almost frightens me more. She pretended ink doesn't kill. I wonder if she told herself it wasn't her fault, that she was just passing information, being helpful, only surviving.
But you must understand the logic.
Everyone has
of
a
my
reason. A list is such a quiet weapon. If it reaches the Gestapo, the trucks will follow. They'll knock at doors before dawn. The list is gone. That's what matters. Tonight, doors will stay closed. Children will sleep in their own beds without knowing how close they came to disappearing.
Following the collapse of military resistance in Holland, the German armed forces have assumed responsibility for security and order in the country. German troops now stand in the cities and ports of the Netherlands. Administration and public institutions are resuming their work under German supervision. Civilian life is being reorganized. The population is called upon to remain calm and to cooperate. The Netherlands are thus under German leadership. Stability, order, and security.
I hear the sidecar scrape and then the engine dip. A boot hits the road behind me. Hard, urgent. That sound tells me everything. He's chosen pursuit over caution. I let my pace quicken. Footsteps approach faster. My hands still don't shake. I wonder if that should concern me. The effectiveness is shocking. We don't speak. We never do right after. Words would be clumsy. My sister Truus, eyes already checking me over, counting limbs, reading my face. It's the look she's had since we were small. Hannie slips in from the other side. She gives a tiny nod. That's her version of a smile. They'll describe 3 different figures, going 3 different ways. We'll meet later, somewhere safe, and the trio will reassemble. The Germans were tightening things, but tightening feels like something you can still breathe through. This is different. This is a fist. The German raid commences with their trademark efficiency. They seal off the Jodenbuurt. They move like machinery, cutting through streets that used to smell of bread. Now it smells like fear. I shouldn't be here. Mama would say, don't be reckless. Doors splinter and break. Orders barked in German, sharp and absolute. No hesitation. They line them up in the square. Young men mostly, hands raised. Some still in work clothes. One of them can't be much older than Truus's friends. He keeps looking back toward a doorway. A woman stands there. His mother, I think. She isn't crying. Not yet. She's frozen. Like if she doesn't move, this won't be real. Someone whispers. They're taking hundreds. Just men. For now they say labor camps. They want us divided. Jew and non-Jew, worker and student, Dutch and other. For watching this, there is no separation. Those trucks might as well be taking my own family. If I step back now, if I decide it is too dangerous, too serious, too much for a girl, then I am choosing comfort over consequence, paid for by other people's suffering. Count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the smallest boys grips my hand so tightly my fingers ache. Are we going far? A girl whispers. The children feel it instantly. The gunshot is too loud for something so small. The baby had been crying. Now, nothing. The soldier, Dutch-born, wearing a German uniform like it was a promotion, drunk on borrowed power, killing something that cannot defend itself. Truus moves before I do, with a smoothness that feels almost unreal. No trembling, no hesitation, just motion. He drops. The crack snaps through the night. The mother screams finally. The father, devoid of spirit, realizing the world has no rules left. We move again. They would say these children are not asked to move. They would call it sabotage. But what do you call stealing someone's childhood? A child's mind can edit reality down to something survivable. I want to be worried about school, about dances, about ribbons and boys. Instead, I calculate patrol routes and memorize safe addresses. We reach the final door. The door opens just enough. The children slip in. We saved 4 tonight. It is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is something the Germans did not get. He thinks the war is something he masters from above. Altitude makes it abstract. Villages are dots. People are shapes. I wonder if he ever imagines the cockpit of the other plane. The sudden panic. The smell of fuel. The split second of understanding. Or does he compress it into abstraction? Enemy aircraft destroyed. Destroyed sounds cleaner than burned. It converts killing into performance, into sport. The most dangerous part is he may never think of himself as a killer, only as excellent. I let him see me notice him, not too obviously, just enough to feed the machine inside him. He approaches because of course he does. Men like him don't wait. The awards follow naturally, woven into casual conversation. I tilt my head as though impressed. I ask careful questions. Were you afraid? How did you know what to do? Fear is for amateurs. Everyone's staring. It must be exhausting being famous. Would you like to go for a walk? It's so quiet out here.
Yes, it is.
He expects romance. He doesn't understand what he's seeing. His mind rejects it. Shoulders that were squared now pull inward. He tries to speak.
It's a mistake.
He insists it's a mistake, is valuable, can be exchanged. They question him. One of the men nods toward the path. That is my signal. I am not allowed to stay. The first time they told me that, I resented it. They were never protecting my innocence, only protecting the innocence of my story. What made me useful to them? Enemy pilot destroyed. Wind pushes them farther than intended. They drift, beyond planned drop zones, into fields miles from the bridges they are meant to seize. The Germans were waiting. The first bursts chew into the earth around the wreck. The pinned soldiers feel the trap snapping shut. Then one of them runs from cover. Machine gun crews are focused on the glider, and he disappears into the trees like a ghost. He moves from one position to the next. They don't see him flanking through the woods until it's too late. Our task was to guide the American soldiers to the Nijmegen bridge. Truus walks straight out and waves. The Americans nearly jump out of their skin. Hannie finishes my thought. They drop from airplanes, but...
They're afraid of girls.
Truus walks ahead. One of the paratroopers talks to her.
Miss Truus?
Truus, she corrects.
Our bread is delicious. What could you even know?
Hannie and a soldier
Sure,
argue
you can grow
about
wheat,
bread.
but you can't make bread.
Oh, really?
American bread
bread
is
is
superior,
superior.
he insists.
You crossed an ocean to fight Nazis and you fight about bread.
I'm American. We fight about everything.
I walk with Julius Gabel
My
from
hometown,
St. Louis, Missouri.
It's
He
a river
told me
city.
twice already,
Place with a
like the
history.
city might
My
disappear
dad used to
if he
say
doesn't
river
say it
city.
enough.
It's my home.
He moved differently from the others, watching the tree lines, scanning the fields. Even while joking, part of him stayed somewhere else.
You girls do this often?
Guide Lost Americans, I say.
Back home, they put you in school.
Back home, my school was bombed.
For years afterward, my mind insisted on rewriting that moment. Maybe he wasn't patronizing me at all. Maybe he was just nervous. Gone. Only pieces of uniform scattered across the dirt. A minute ago, he was telling me about Middle America, about rivers, about his mother's peach pie. The line between seconds is thin. Julius had slipped through.
Watch for those
Eventually,
bombs.
the soldiers move on. Truus breaks the silence. Freddie, try to look less terrified. People might think we're amateurs. Only Truus could say something like that and make it comforting.
If the Americans are this close, maybe it will end soon.
For the first time in years, the idea doesn't feel impossible. But for others, the war would never end. Arthur Seyss-Inquart, but we called him Arthur 6 1/4 on account of his limp. The man behind the orders. The terrible kind of power that liquidates 107,000 Jews with signatures and stamps. A lawyer, that always struck me. A man trained in law presiding over something so lawless. To him it's just paperwork. The women and children arrive. They see what their men have become, or what remains of them. Then they're led away and never seen again. The idea sits on the table like a loaded pistol. Kidnap his children, use them as leverage, force the man responsible for the trains to feel fear in his own house. Hannie's eyes sharpen as she commits herself.
His children live ordinary lives while he sends families to Auschwitz.
The plan? The children walk in the morning, one distraction at the corner. Just enough confusion to break the guard's attention. The car door opens, engine running, gone before anyone understands what happened. Imagination never includes what goes wrong.
What if our demands are refused?
Hannie does not hesitate at that question.
Simple. The children will become another weapon in the war.
Even imagining it, I feel something in me refuse. I look to Truus. No words needed, we already know we can't be a part of this.
Some victories are not worth becoming what you were never meant to be.
Later, people will call this the bombing of the Bezuidenhout, an accident, a navigation error. But beneath the falling bombs, the word accident means little. The irony sits heavy. For 5 years, we prayed for Allied aircraft to come closer, to strike the Germans harder. Now the planes have finally come. 1 week later, I hear the news. Hannie's been taken. A German checkpoint discovered her pistol. They'd been hunting her for months. The redhead who kept killing Germans. It was just a matter of time.
No, I think otherwise. But only one way to find out.
I try not to imagine what came after. The questions, the pressure, the way they would try to break her. But I know her. She wouldn't give them anything. That is what makes it harder. They say the first shot didn't kill her. Wounded, she looked them in the eye and sharply said,
Amateur. I shoot better.
I can hear it in my head. It would have cut straight through them. 2 weeks later, we were liberated. It makes her death even more tragic. At first, it doesn't feel real. People are cheering in the streets, waving flags that have been hidden away for years. Music, laughter, sounds I almost forgot how to recognize. They say it is liberation, that the war here is over. I stand there listening to the noise and feel quiet. For so long, every step meant something. Watching, hiding, planning, surviving. The world was sharp, dangerous, alive, with purpose. Now suddenly, the danger is gone. And I don't know where to put all the things I've been carrying.
What do we do now?
We live.
We live